Hello, how are you? I hope you're doing well. As soon as I hit record on this video, my cat started puking up a hairball on my bed. So, that's great. I had to stop and clean that up. But anyway, I'm back. I'm here. So today I thought I would talk about something a little different. I normally do like funny videos or try to, but it's kind of like stormy and windy and creepy outside, and so I just felt in the mood to tell you some scary stories instead. So hopefully that's cool. I'm sorry that the light is in my glasses, but it's annoying. But you'll be okay, I promise. So the first story I would like to tell you is so set up for it is I used to do dog sitting, and like I still do to some extent, but I just don't have as many clients as I used to because a lot of them have moved away or gotten given their dogs to family members or whatever. So, but I used to do that as like supplementary income. It was pretty cool too. It's like you get paid to just hang out with dogs and cats, and it's awesome. Um, but anyway, so I had this one girl that I would go watch her dogs, and when I first started watching her dogs, like I would go to her apartment, and it was like immaculate, and over time, every time I would go there, it would be slightly messier. Like I would know, like at first it was just like little stuff, like I don't know, a bag of chips left down on the counter or whatever, and then it started being more and more, like cans of soda left half drank, um, food, and then it started being the bed was unmade, which was really unusual because before that she would always make the bed and have fresh sheets on it and everything for me to sleep on. Um, but anyway, so I noticed that and I was like, well, maybe she's just like busy or too tired or depressed or something like that. So I didn't say anything because it wasn't a huge deal to me. I mean, I can change sheets and I can clean up. It's not a huge deal. But anyway, over time, it just kept getting like progressively worse. And then one day I came there and she had like a little outside storage closet that was like attached to the apartment building. Um, and the door was wide open. And I was like, what the hell? So I went up to it, but the doorknob was still locked. So I was like, how the hell did somebody get in there with the door still locked? And it's still locked, like the doorknob is. So anyway, I texted her and told her that it was open, but it didn't. And I gave her like an inventory of what was in it and everything. She had like a kayak in there and some other stuff. So I did that, and she was like, well, it doesn't sound like anything's missing. It's not a big deal. Just go ahead and close it back and just make sure it's locked. And I was like, well, it is, but apparently it opens by itself. But anyway, so I did that. Then a couple weeks later, when she had me house sitting again, or pet sitting, uh, I came around the corner going to the door, and the door was standing wide open. And one of the dogs was just standing there, like really confused and almost scared looking. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Um, and so I went in there and I was looking around. I was like really apprehensive too because I was like, am I interrupting a robbery or something? So, but like I didn't want to immediately leave because I didn't want to leave the animals in there. If somebody bad was in there, I might hurt them. So I went in there and I started looking around the apartment, and it was like kind of messy. But I couldn't find anybody in there, and like I looked very thoroughly. Um, but anyway, so I called her and I told her what was going on, and a policeman lived in the building next to her, so she called him, and he came over and filed a report and everything. And it looked like the door had been slightly jimmied, but they said there wasn't a lot of damage. They couldn't really tell if it was like had been jimmied or if it was just like normal wear and tear on the door. But it was incredibly scary, and I started talking to her, and she was like, I told her about the bed like being unmade and stuff like that, and leaving stuff out, and she was like, yeah, I always left the house like immaculate for you when you came over. And so I'm pretty sure someone had been helping themselves to her apartment when she would leave, and I think I got there early or something and surprised them, and they just ran out of the house and left the door open. But that was terrifying to know that I had been in there when potentially some other person had been hiding in the apartment with me. She had to actually go through hell trying to get the locks changed too. They said you had to have like a court order for that or something, and it was just ridiculous. And so she had to provide them with like the police report and everything to get the locks changed. And I'm like, shouldn't just telling someone that somebody broke into your apartment, shouldn't that be enough? Why do you have to provide? You know, like, why do you have to go through all that rigmarole to get your locks changed? But anyway. So that was like extremely creepy. She installed cameras after that, and everything stopped. Like, when I would go in there, it was still clean again. And I don't know. But I did not feel safe in there from that time on. The cameras helped me feel safe a little bit, but I was still like, what if somebody like turns off the cameras or something and they come and kill me in my sleep or something? But yeah, that was absolutely terrifying to me. Sorry about that. I had to clean up more cat puke. So this is another story that's actually really creepy. So this was probably about 6 or 7 years ago. And this was back when I still had a Facebook. I have since extricated myself from that hellhole den of iniquity, godforsaken website. I hate that fucking website. But anyway, so I still had a Facebook, and I was... Okay, so there's two things happening at the same time. Gotta bear in mind both things. So I was on like the Facebook marketplace. I was trying to sell an aquarium. I had a 45-gallon aquarium. It was the tall kind. It was like really cool because it was kind of a rare shape. It wasn't just like the boxy kind. It was tall, so it was like thinner, but it had a smaller footprint than most 45-gallon aquariums. So I was trying to sell that for $65, which was actually a really good price for that aquarium at the time. And so I had a guy who was on my friend list, and I didn't know him personally, but he was a friend of a friend that I knew in person, that I'd actually done jujitsu with. So I was like, okay, cool. He started talking to me about the aquarium, and like we started trying to make a place to meet and do the exchange of the aquarium. Simultaneously, probably about a month before that, a girl had contacted me, who was his friend. That's the only friend we had in common, was him. And so I accepted her friend request, and she started talking to me, and, you know, seemed pleasant enough, and, you know, we had a few things in common, so we would talk. And then she started getting, like, oddly sexual with her comments to me, and she said that she was bisexual, so I was like, okay, whatever, cool. And I told her, I was like, I'm straight, like, but instead of stopping, she kind of just kept doing it. And at first I was like, you know, she'll eventually, like, get the message, like, that I'm not interested or whatever. But I kept talking to her anyway. I should have just blocked her immediately, because that's not cool to just keep making sexual advances to somebody when they say no. But anyway, I didn't. And so then, I wish I could remember this guy's name. But anyway, I can't. But her name was Savannah. That is important for later, so remember that. So I got like coordinated with this guy to meet to exchange this aquarium and the money. And I don't want anybody coming to my house. I don't want them to know where I live. That's awkward for me. I don't like that. So I was like, let's meet in this parking lot. It's like in front of a little strip mall. And then, that'll give us plenty of space to like move the aquarium. We'll be in a parking lot. So we met there and he was like, hey, do you want to grab a bite of lunch? He was like, I was just about to eat here. Do you want to come in with me? And I was like, in my mind, when somebody asks you to lunch, it's like, oh no, he's gonna think this is a date. But I'm a hungry bitch and I like me some food, and so I couldn't really turn down lunch. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, you're still gonna have to like buy your own, or he's gonna think it's a date. So we went in. Oh, first thing, as soon as I saw him, like, I got weird vibes. Like, those kind of vibes where you're just like, I don't know about this person. And he had a little, like, it was like a SpongeBob Band-Aid across his nose. And I was like, what happened to your nose? And he was like, oh, I just bumped it. Which is weird. It's like, why do you have a Band-Aid on just bumping it? Like, what happened? So anyway, I was like, okay, whatever. So we went in there and sat down. And I'm talking, as soon as we sat down at the table, it's like he opened the floodgates and started just telling me his life story. And mostly just like the super personal, gory details of all the problems he's had in his life. And I'm like, okay, I'm not a psychiatrist. So anyway, I'm just sitting there and I said probably like 4 words the whole time we're sitting there. And he just keeps rambling. And he mentions, okay, bear in mind, preface this, I have nothing against anybody for any mental health issues. I have a ton of my own. I'm not judgmental. I don't want anyone to think that I look down on them. But he said that a month ago he had just gotten out of the mental hospital. Okay, so somebody that is already giving you weird vibes says that, and you're in a situation where it's like, you're a woman, he's a kind of creepy man, and so you don't really know if this is gonna go south or not. And he mentions that, and so I was like, trying not to be obvious, but I was like, I kind of wondered what for, because that does make a difference. It's like, if you're in there for like going off on somebody and like assaulting somebody or something, I don't really want to be there. So anyway, he danced around the issue and he wouldn't tell me why. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I guess you want to tell all of your other personal stuff, but you don't want to talk about that. But so we sat there, kept talking. He kept talking. And it was just so weird. I was like staring at my plate of food, like I wasn't even enjoying it. I was just like getting through each bite. I was like, please just let this be over. Because any sane person would have just walked out of there. But I wanted my damn money for that aquarium. You know what I'm saying? Like, I came there with a purpose. I wanted to get the money for that aquarium, and I wanted to get rid of that aquarium. So anyway, I sat there and sat there. Then he's finally done. I'm finally done. We leave, and we're out in the parking lot. And while we're talking, he keeps changing the subject. I keep being like, okay, let's get this aquarium loaded up here. You know, keeps changing the subject. And he also keeps leaning in like he's going to kiss me. Just all creepy. And so I start like bobbing and weaving, you know, like you got to do. You kind of deflect, cover your mouth. That's a good tactic. And so I keep doing that. I'm trying to keep him away from me without being super obvious. Like, get the fuck back, dude. Which in retrospect I should have done. But anyway, so I'm doing that. I'm trying to deflect here and there. And he keeps leaning in. And then he starts talking about I should come with him to his house. I was like, no, I can't. I got stuff to do. Like, not be here with you. So, but he keeps changing the subjects and keeps trying to get me to go somewhere with him. Like, he changed it from his house to, like, I can't even remember. He just kept suggesting places to go. And I'm like, dude, no. I said, you know, I really gotta go. I'm meeting one of my friends and we're going bowling. I don't remember what I said, but I made up something. I was trying to get the fuck out of there. And so I finally managed to be like, I gotta get this aquarium out of here. So I walked away from him and walked around my car and like opened up the back and I was like, started taking the aquarium out. I was like, we gotta get this in your car, okay? So we loaded it into his car and he was like, well, I don't really know what I'm gonna put in this. I was like, fish? And he was like, oh, I don't really know anything about aquariums. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, why the fuck would you buy such an expensive aquarium? Well, I mean, it wasn't expensive at the price I sold it, but it's kind of like a higher level aquarium for, you know, like more serious fish enthusiasts or whatever. And I was like, so you don't know what kind of fish you want to put in it? He was like, oh no, I don't know anything about fish. So I'm like, so I start thinking maybe he just did all of this to try and get me alone, and God knows what. I don't know. Like, I don't know if he was just so socially awkward that he couldn't figure out how to interact with a woman, or if it was really nefarious, like he was trying to kidnap me or something. And so I finally got that money out of his hand and I got in my car, locked that door, and I went away. I got the fuck out of there. And so I'm going down the road, probably about 5 miles down the road. I'm in a stoplight and I get a text on my phone. And so I go to check it and it's his number. And mind you, we've never texted before. We just talked on the phone. And so I was like, started reading it. It was like, thanks for the aquarium. You know, I appreciate you bringing that out and everything, blah, blah, blah. And then, okay, preface this. This was back in the time where some people still had phones that would put your signature on them. Like you could set a signature that it would just automatically put on every message that you sent. And so at the end of the message, there was a signature and it said Savannah. So this motherfucker had been pretending to be that girl and was saying sexual things and was trying to get naked pictures from me, and then staged this thing where he could meet me in person, ostensibly to get an aquarium. But I really think that he had a lot more in store. And I feel like if I had not, like, already been feeling really weird things from him, that I don't know what could have happened. But, like, I kept him away from me. And I don't know. That was just so creepy. The fact that I had been talking to two people and it was the same person. And they had just been trying to be, like, really creepy to me and sexual. So, I guess that's a story of how I almost got kidnapped. But that was just the one of the weirdest things that ever happened to me. Um, so yeah, I hope that this was an entertaining video. I know it's not usually what I post. I usually try to post funny things, but you know, I just felt like we needed something scary in here. So yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe and like this video if you liked it. And leave a comment of your creepy things that have happened to you. All right. Thanks. I'll talk to you later.